Holocaust Memories Never Forget. A Gentile baby boomer's painful journey into the Shoah. Section 8, War Crimes Tribunals. Part 4. From the spring of 1943 until the early 21st century. Other war crimes trials between 1946 and 2005. The first War Crimes Tribunal, covered in Parts 1 to 3 of Section 8, War Crimes Tribunals, is probably the only trial of its kind that most people today have heard about, with the exception, perhaps, of the trial of Adolf Eichmann in the early 1960s. However, more trials were held after October 1946 and into the 21st century. According to a list published by the Jewish Virtual Library, there were 43 separate trials up until the spring of 1949, including 2 1943 Soviet trials and the first Nuremberg trial covered here, plus 10 other trials between 1950 and 2005. 12 of those 53 trials were held in the United States as separate military tribunals and targeted industrial organizations which were guilty of various crimes. Here is a list of those crimes, along with the 8 separate targets of each tribunal. Number 1. Industrial organizations or industries which used slave labor. Number 2. Industries or organizations responsible for the deaths of civilians or military personnel. Number 3. The owners or operators of those industrial or business organizations which committed one or more of the crimes previously listed here. Number 4. The medical doctors who worked in the T4 euthanasia program, or the doctors who performed medical experiments on prisoners. Number 5. Officers in the German High Command. Number 6. Specific Wehrmacht officers. Number 7. Specific SS officers who commanded one of the 4 Einsatzgruppen execution units. And number 8. High-level German or Reich government officials, or Reich ministers, whose actions aided those who were convicted of war crimes. Records indicate that nearly 4,000 cases were considered for trial during the entire War Crimes Tribunal process, but under 500 actually reached the courtroom. The total defendants numbered 1,672, of which 1,416 were convicted. Less than 200 of that number ended up being executed, and 279 were sentenced to life in prison. Ironically, by the early 1950s, some of the highest members of the tribunal, including High Commissioner John J. McCloy, began to question the fairness and legality of the trial process. In response, a large percentage of those being held in prison were released early, and 10 defendants who were sentenced to death for the crimes they committed while being part of the Einsatzgruppen eventually walked out of prison when their sentences were reduced to prison time served. This ends Section 8, War Crimes Tribunals. We'll begin exploring the lives of men who may have been guilty of murder, torture, rape, and a host of other heinous crimes, but avoided the hangman due to a combination of luck, their own cunning, cash and gold stolen from dead prisoners, and help from organizations such as the Catholic Church and secret German paramilitary groups. Sadly, most of them avoided any prison time altogether and lived out the rest of their lives in freedom.